And thus we reach the end of this season of Jojo. Fridays are never going to be the same ever again. Welcome to my review of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Stardust Crusaders episode 24, the conclusion of the High Priestess two-parter and the conclusion of this season of JoJo. But rest assured guys, part 2 of Stardust Crusaders, the Egypt arc, will be coming in January 2015 and I can't wait to see it. So the episode begins with Joseph teaching Jotaro, Kakyoin, and Polnareff how to scuba dive. All the while, High Priestess is still in the submarine and they gotta get out of the submarine, otherwise they're gonna get killed by High Priestess. So I'm really surprised that Joseph had plenty of time to teach them how to scuba dive and how to use the scuba diving gear. However, when it got to the part with the hand signals, this one being okay, this one not being okay, Abdul brought up the fact that they can communicate through their stands underwater, so there was no need for hand signals, but it did bring us this one really funny moment, yet makes you wonder why it was there in the first place, but it was still funny overall, is when Polnareff shows us this hand sign. Which apparently is Japanese hand sign language for kan su maru mieru, which means I can see your underwear. And you know what makes it even funnier is that when Kakyoin actually interpret that message, Polnareff was like, yeah, and they start doing this secret special handshake, and Kakyoin was going along with it for some reason. I don't know why. It was really funny, and yet you wonder, like, why is it there? I guess it was to ease the tension that was going on in the beginning of the episode. And they had Joseph like yelling at them to stop fooling around. Ah, gotta love Polnareff. So once the entire room was filled with water and once Joseph opened the hatch, everyone checked if they were all okay, except for Polnareff, who's doing this and kind of like spazzing out in the water, which turns out that his regulator was High Priestess in disguise. Okay, so I have a question. If High Priestess was the regulator this whole time, I don't know whether she like arrived before the group, I'm assuming she did. Couldn't she have like sabotaged the scuba diving gear so they wouldn't have like a way of escaping? I guess she wanted to wait for an opportunity to kill them once they're underwater so it'd be easier or something. Now I want to point out something in the opening. Now it seems that they do this like at the final episode of every series because the opening actually had sound effects added into the sequence, which actually gave it a really nice touch. Now back with the episode, High Priestess was biting into Polnareff's lower lip, and then she starts to enter into Polnareff's mouth and then right down his throat. Kakyoin uses Hierophant Green's tentacle, and Joseph uses Hermit Purple to enter Polnareff right through the freaking nose to grab High Priestess and force her out of Polnareff's throat. So basically, Hierophant Green and Hermit Purple went up Polnareff's nose, through the nasal cavities, right out of his mouth. God damn, poor Polnareff, man. But before they can do anything with High Priestess, she transforms into a spear gun. So Hierophant Green tries to use Emerald Splash on it, but I think he missed or something. The spear gun was shot, but Polnareff uses Silver Chariot to attack it momentarily until the spear gun had to reload itself. They use this opportunity to escape the submarine and trap High Priestess inside. So once they escape the submarine, Polnareff sharing Jotaro's oxygen tank, they're finally getting closer to the Egyptian shore. They're like 7 meters below. They found what's supposed to be this underground tunnel that they were supposed to use, but there was something really odd about it, which I was right because it turns out that that sea tunnel was not a sea tunnel, it was the nostrils on High Priestess's face. Okay, when I saw the preview, I thought High Priestess was gonna turn into like a giant rock and eat them or something. I was not expecting High Priestess to turn into a part of the ocean floor. Yeah, this is like one strong stand. And the reason why it was that strong is because Midler was actually closer to her stand. You know what I don't understand? I thought Abdul knew that High Priestess would turn into anything that has minerals in them. Did he forget that the ocean floor has minerals too? Like, it can turn into a part of the ocean floor, and apparently he forgot that. So Either way, they weren't safe even if they did escape the submarine. So High Priestess sucks them up into her mouth and does not digest them. Instead, she plans to fight and grind into them with her teeth. Now we actually hear Midler talking through High Priestess. Just like one of the many characters in this freaking series, she has the hots for Jotaro. Okay, seriously, is every single female character is going to have like some sort of unwavering infatuation towards someone? Because as of late, there's been a lot of that throughout many female characters, whether they be major or minor. I mean, how many times did we have to get a female character having the hots for Jotaro? I mean, we had Anne, we had those high school girls, those flight attendants, those tourists from Hong Kong, and now we got freaking Midler. Which, by the way, she regrets wanting to kill Jotaro, but she wants to get praised by Dio, so he can't have one without the other, so she's on Dio's side, so yeah. I like her stand, but her I don't. I know that Jotaro is supposed to be the cool bad boy type, but honestly, there are like way better male characters to like fall in love with. I mean, if it were me, if I was like a female character in Jojo, if I had to have like a crush on either one of these guys, I'd pick either like Polnareff or Kakyoin. But this gives Polnareff an idea in which he tells Jotaro to say these lines: "I'd like to see your face once. You might be my type. I might fall for you." And it seems that Midler bought it because all of a sudden the inside of High Priestess's mouth was like glowing red. Unfortunately, everyone else had to like say these like nice things to Midler. I mean, Kakyoin like saying that she sounds like Audrey Hepburn, and then Joseph saying, "Oh, if only I were 30 years younger." Here's the thing, Midler only has the hots for Jotaro, not the hots for everyone else. So since everyone else said those lines, this caused her to get really pissed, knowing that they were lying along with Jotaro, and then she uses High Priestess to try to kill them all. Yeah, good job, guys. So Jotaro, being the first victim, gets hit on the back with High Priestess's tongue, sending him right between her teeth. He uses Star Platinum to like try to push the teeth away to prevent himself from getting crushed, but according to Midler, High Priestess's teeth were stronger than Star Platinum's strength because they're harder than diamonds. The others try to help Jotaro. Unfortunately, High Priestess uses her tongue to try to attack them. Luckily, Kakyoin uses his Hierophant Grain to attach everyone with its tendrils and escape the tongue. And then Abdul summons Magician's Red to fire blast the tongue. Unfortunately, they were too late as the teeth were getting closer and closer, crushing Jotaro slowly. The oxygen tank bursts, and it seems that Jotaro really was crushed. So how does he get out of this one? Joseph hears this sound, which sounds very familiar, and it was getting closer and closer. And it turns out it was freaking Star Platinum going on High Priestess's teeth. God, I freaking love Star Platinum. I think Star Platinum dig its way down and up between the teeth, creating like a nice big hole for Jotaro, and then he punched right through the teeth, giving him a chance to escape. And oh, Star Platinum is not done. Joseph going, "Oh my god!" And then Star Platinum breaks all the teeth so that the group can finally get out of High Priestess's mouth. High Priestess disappears and it's defeated. Again, another stand that has this really unique, powerful ability gets defeated easily just like that. While Jotaro were like swimming away from High Priestess, he said, "I guess your diamonds were a little low on calcium." Yeah, so High Priestess is defeated. The group made it to the Egyptian shore and they spot this woman not too far away from them. Turns out that that was Midler, and she does not look like the sketching that I saw for the Capcom video game. No, she's just wearing this simple dress. In fact, we don't even get to see a good look on her face. I mean, with Arabia Fads, the Sun stand user, we get to see what he looked like entirely, yet he didn't say anything. With Midler, she gets to say several lines, yet we didn't get a good look at her. I mean, Polnareff tried to go see whether she was like hot or not, but he gets so disgusted over her face because all of her teeth were knocked out because High Priestess also had her teeth knocked out. That is freaking sad, really. But yeah, High Priestess, the last tarot card stand, and its stand user, Midler, was defeated. And they finally made it to Egypt. Now, that entire fight lasted for like over 15 minutes long. And we have about like 7 to 8 minutes left. So that 7 to 8 minutes left were basically filler, which it kind of makes me wonder why wasn't the High Priestess fight one whole episode, and then you could have like the final episode being like preparing to go to Egypt or something. I don't know, but yeah, David's production managed to make this fight into 2 parts, into 2 episodes. We then get a quick recap, basically this map, highlighting the places they went to and the stand users that they fought. And of course it ends off with them arriving in Egypt. But after that quick recap, we get this like one scene that is hinting of what's to come in the Egypt arc, making me even more impatient for part 2 to arrive. We see this building in Cairo, I believe, which might be Dio's hideout. We see this one person from the Speedwagon Foundation spying from a building in the distance. Apparently Joseph sent out some spies or agents from the Speedwagon Foundation to gather intel on where Dio's hideout might be. This guy spies 9 people in cloaks, both men and women, and it seems that they were heading to Dio's hideout, or are they exiting out of, I don't know, but this is hinting the upcoming stands that Jotaro and the others are going to face off against, and they are going to face off against 9 more stand users. Oh my god. I know that they were going to fight against more stand users, it's just, I really want them to hurry up and get to Dio already. God damn it. But I've been told that these stand users have stands that are based on the 9 Egyptian gods. I'm curious as to how that is going to turn out, because I heard that those stands are going to be even better than the 14 tarot card stand users. And speaking of tarot card stand users, Whole Horse is still around, so we're probably going to see him again in part 2. Now with the Speedwagon guy, unfortunately he hears something behind him. And from what we see, it looks like that he was attacked by water. One of the stand users has a water stand. That's kind of interesting. I'm curious to see that. But then again, it makes me wonder, like, why wasn't the water stand user attacking Jotaro and the others, like, during the Dark Blue Moon and Strength episode, since they were, like, surrounded with water, or during the High Priestess episode when they're at the Red Sea, so I was wondering about that. Yeah, this water stand actually managed to slice the guy's head off. Unfortunately, it was censored, which really did bug me, but I can understand why, because this guy was freaking decapitated. And then we cut to Dio inside his mansion. You know, it's been a while since we saw Dio, and they're still keeping his appearance kind of a mystery. He's still in the shadows. And I guess they'll reveal his full appearance and his stand, like, once Jotaro and the others get to his hideout. But there's one thing to notice. There was this other person in the shadows bowing down. I think this is the second person that we saw at the ending scene in episode 3, because the first person we know, it was Enya. There's this other person, I don't know who that is. So it seems that Dio has sent out a couple of his stand users to kill the Speedwagon Foundation guys to prevent Jotaro and the others on knowing his whereabouts. With the headless Speedwagon Foundation guy, something happened to him, but I couldn't really make out what, because the censor bar was pretty high and it was pretty dark when I watched it, so I couldn't tell what was going on over there. But Dio does know that Jotaro and the others are in Egypt. I mean, of course, with, you know, Jonathan's body and all that. We then cut to Joseph and Jotaro, who are talking to Susie on the phone. Joseph tells Susie that Jotaro is accompanying him with his work. Now, throughout this phone call, I think Susie knows more than she lets on, even though she thinks this is a business trip. I think she knows this is a very important adventure that is a matter between life and death. So she gives these encouraging words to Jotaro, saying, "Do your best, take care of your grandfather for me. I'm sure if you work together, you Joestar men can overcome any hardship." I thought this scene was nice. I mean, Susie, Jotaro's grandmother, is giving some nice words of encouragement to her grandson, and considering what I've heard about the Dio fight, Jotaro really is going to need that encouragement. So now we cut back to Susie. We get to see this picture of young Jotaro as a kid and Holly, which I thought the picture was really nice, but why aren't there pictures of Jotaro's dad? I mean, we don't know what he looks like, and we don't know a lot about him. We know that he's a jazz musician, and he's on tour currently, so he doesn't know that Holly is sick. I guess they didn't want him to worry or anything, but seriously, how come we don't get to see what he looks like or know anything about him? Well, anyway, it is now time for the group to depart. It is time for the Joestars to sever that century-long bond and ties that they have with Dio. But it's not just them. As they hear Kakyoin, Abdul, and Polnareff calling to them, they rent this dune buggy or something. I don't know what kind of car it is, but it was supposed to be to travel out in the desert. They set off into the Egyptian desert. We get the narrator talking about a couple things about Egypt, and the episode ends with one final epic pose because, well, why not? I mean, seriously, it looks like that they're like taking a picture for a cover of a magazine. So that is the episode. Overall, I really enjoyed it. I liked it. I still think, however, that the High Priestess fight should have been one whole episode, and then you have the final episode, you know, setting up for their journey to Cairo, maybe? But I thought they did a pretty good job with adding that filler. But animation, artwork, voice acting, once again, were very well done. The stand overall, Priestess, I thought this was a pretty cool, interesting stand. Its appearance was definitely odd, but its ability was definitely interesting. It was a very powerful stand, and it would have been like really tough to beat if they were on land, but it was even tougher when they were in sea. With Midler, I don't really like her. She's okay, I guess. It's just that I'm really sick and tired of seeing the female characters having the hots for like either jerks or assholes. I mean, this is getting really repetitive at this point. We didn't even get to see what she looks like, let alone her face. I really did like the additional scenes that were added near the end, especially the scene with Dio. There's actually one stand user that I'm really looking forward to, which I heard a lot about, is Darby the Gambler, because I think he's one of the stand users that was in the OVAs, and I've heard many good things about that fight, so I'm really looking forward to seeing Darby the Gambler. I know that since they're in Egypt, I know there's gonna be some even more crazy things that's gonna happen. I hope that the stands for these 9 stand users are gonna be like really interesting and have these like cool, unique abilities. I hope that the characters with their stand users are gonna be at least interesting, have like some sort of personality, because we didn't get a lot of that for some of the stand users based on the 14 tarot cards. One of the commenters on my videos have been keeping track on how many stand users are left based on the tarot cards, so thank you for that. Currently, there are 2 unknown stand users that are left based on the tarot cards. One of them is Dio's stand, which I'm not going to say because spoilers, and the other one I believe is the ally that was shown in the preview, because in the preview for the next arc, we see a helicopter from the Speedwagon Foundation escorting someone, the backup that I've heard about, that was hinted at the opening. He's definitely not human, so I'm going to assume that this 6th stand user is an animal. I don't know what kind of animal, but I'm really looking forward to seeing the 6th stand user. I hope that this 6th stand user is going to be someone that I'm going to like, but we'll just have to wait and see until January. Now, if I were to give this season a rating, I would give it definitely an 8 out of 10. I really like the introduction to the stands, this whole concept, and learning about the rules and the various abilities that each one has. However, some actually broke those rules. Out of the 5 stands, the ones that I like are Star Platinum, Magician's Red, and Silver Chariot. Hierophant Green, I'm really starting to like more and more. Hermit Purple, I gotta be honest here, I feel like Joseph got the short end of the stick when it got stands, but it does show that it can do a bit more. I mean, I don't hate the stand, I just like it the least out of the 5, unfortunately. Now, out of the 14 tarot card stands, my favorites had to be Justice, the Hangman, Death 13, and High Priestess. Those 4 were definitely my favorite because these 4 actually came off as a threat. They actually gave the group a hard time. They all ended up being defeated. Some quite easily, actually. And as for the tarot card stand users, some of them, unfortunately, don't have a lot of personality. If it wasn't for the fact that they had interesting stands, that I wouldn't be interested in them at all. I was interested with Enya, considering that she was Dio's mentor and told him about stands. She unfortunately got the short end of the stick when she got killed by Steely Dan and was betrayed by Dio. So I was hoping we would know more about her, but unfortunately we didn't. And then there was her son, Jay Guile. He's another one of the recurring characters because he was the one that killed Polnareff's sister. And just seeing him getting defeated by Polnareff was very satisfying. The 3rd final recurring character, Whole Horse. Now, Whole Horse is still around, so I'm expecting to see him probably later on in part 2. He's a guy that you want to hate, but there's something about him that you can't help but like about him, you know? So I wouldn't mind seeing this cowboy reappear like one more time. Another thing I like about the season so far is that it fills in the gaps where Araki failed to do so in the manga. For example, Anne's departure and how Jotaro got his jacket fixed. And of course, what the real Kakyoin was doing this whole time while Rubber Soul was attacking Jotaro. I appreciated Davis Productions for adding those scenes to fill in the gaps that the manga unfortunately left out. However, that's the same thing with the anime, because the anime so far has left out several things in the manga. It left out the scene where Anne was trying to bribe these guys so that she can join them with these porn photos, which I read in that manga. It was a pretty funny scene, and I was so disappointed that that was not in the anime. In a nutshell, it was a road trip. An ultimate crazy bizarre road trip where the bumps in the roads are stands and stand users. And this series is very entertaining, very enjoyable. It so far has a great blend of comedy, humor, drama, and tension. However, this series also has its flaws. First flaw is the censorship. I thought it was going to be toned down, but when it got to the more gorier scenes, the censorship was more shown, which it can irritate many fans, but there's always the Blu-rays at least. The second flaw I have is the fact that several stands have these abilities, and yet they're never brought up ever again. They never do these abilities ever again. For example, Star Platinum's Starfinger only used twice. Silver Chariot removing his armor, twice. Hierophant Green possessing people, twice. And Kakyoin having the voodoo painting from episode 2, never brought up ever again. You think that would really come in handy, but nope. Magician's Red's Crossfire Hurricane. Unfortunately, it also done once, but to be fair, Abdul was out of commission for over 11 episodes. And Hermit Purple's maps, only used once. You know, I'm actually wondering if Joseph will use that map to find Dio's hideout. I mean, he used it to find the coal tar to defeat Empress, and he didn't even know where the coal tar was, so couldn't he do that with Dio's hideout? No? Yes? I don't know. Which brings to my third and final flaw. There are several parts throughout this entire season that do not make a lot of sense to me, and they do come off as kind of like inconsistencies. I mean, like for example, the Wheel of Fortune episode, Jotaro escaping from getting burned. I still don't understand how is he's not suffering from like 2nd degree burns. He's still caught on fire, yet he came out okay. But many of you guys told me that there are going to be a lot of those in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and you guys told me not to pay attention to that because it would take away the enjoyment of the series. But, you know, despite the inconsistencies and the parts that don't make sense, I still enjoy JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. I'm enjoying Stardust Crusaders as it is so far. I just hope there are going to be a lot of that, because if I see something like this, even in JoJo, I'm going to say that does not make a lot of sense. Why didn't this character do that? I'm going to say that, unfortunately. Now, I am definitely looking forward to part 2, the Egypt arc, because I've been told that there's a lot more crazy stuff that's going to happen in Egypt. And I know that once they get to Dio, that's where shit hits the fan. Because I know, from watching Battle Tendency and Vanderblood, at least one character from the good side is going to die. One of these guys is definitely going to die. I can feel it. I don't know who though, and I'm kind of scared because I like these guys and I don't want him to die. But then again, I didn't want Caesar to die and he died. I didn't want Zappelli to die and he died. So did Jonathan, which freaking sucked. The episode is out now on Crunchyroll, so if you want to check it out yourself, I'll leave a link in the description down below. And tell me guys, what are your thoughts on this week's episode of Stardust Crusaders? Did you like it? Did you hate it? What are your thoughts on High Priestess and Midler overall? What are your thoughts on the ending scenes? And are you looking forward to part 2 Egypt arc? I am definitely looking forward to it. And tell me guys, what are your thoughts so far on this season of Stardust Crusaders? Let me know in the comments below. Be sure to like the video if you like it and subscribe to more videos. And be sure to check out my Facebook fan page and Google+. So yeah, that is JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Stardust Crusaders, Season 1, Part 1. Part 2 coming soon in January. Can't freaking wait. Oh, it's gonna be neat. I'm gonna spawn 27 and I will see you guys later. Bye.